If the world were like a Sleep Number mattress, everything would adapt for your comfort. Because as your life changes and your body changes, Sleep Number mattresses adapt and shift to give you personalized comfort night after night. And now it's the final days of our Everything's on Sale event. Save up to $1,200 on mattresses. Our Memorial Day event ends Monday. To experience a whole new world of comfort, visit a Sleep Number store or go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number, to a good life sleep.
It's time for the Larry H. Miller Utah Summer Games at Southern Utah University in Cedar City. Register today to participate in the 40th anniversary season of a Utah sports tradition at utahsummergames.org. Participate in over 50 sports around the state. Then plan to join the opening ceremonies Friday, June 5th, presented by State Bank of Southern Utah. Register today to participate in the 40th anniversary season of the Larry H. Miller Utah Summer Games.
Join Scotty G and the coach, Tim Lacombe, today from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at RGS Exteriors at 4235 Farm Road in West Jordan. Second question of the morning is all about questions. What do you want us to ask Austin Ainge? We got 12 minutes. And go. In our very next segment. I just put it up on Twitter. You got a really good question. Throw it out there. We'll hit him with it. I'm curious if they know, to what degree they think they know what they're going to do on draft night.
Well, I think because they're drafting so high, they've got to.
Do they know what the Wizards are going to do?
The lower you draft, the
more questions you are. But do they know what the Wizards are going to do? And
Today,
then
yes.
do they know what they're going to do?
But I think if
the Wizards can change their mind.
Well, if you present an offer enough. I mean, if you present Ace Bailey, that changes everything. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, I can't believe they're going to do that.
Well, I suppose neither can I, but I wouldn't completely rule it out. If I'm Washington, I'd be over the moon for that.
Oh, yeah.
But I'd want something else back. I'm not going to give you 2 potential All-Stars that are 20 years old or younger. If the Jazz had agreed to that,
that's the definition of overpaying.
Washington, man, that changes the complexion dramatically overnight. But suppose there's something in return. It wouldn't be, in my mind, for what it's worth. It's probably nothing. It wouldn't be a simple, we get the number 1 pick, and we give you the number 2 pick and Ace Bailey. There'd have to be more. I'd have to get more coming back. And that's where I think it's a possibility.
Let's assume they stand pat. Do you think they know who Washington's going to use the number 1 player on?
Yeah, I think they're going to use it on DeBonsa. I think they think that. I think a lot of these times, sometimes, not maybe in a lot, I don't know how many, but they go with the, as you kept saying last week, the general consensus, which was driving me nuts. Simply the consensus is good enough. And so go with
Is that like very unique?
Yeah.
The general consensus?
Right.
It's already the consensus, dude.
Right.
It's unique. It's very unique. Well, it's already one of a kind. Is it one half of a kind?
Right. There's no such thing as very unique. So if they think that Washington, if the Jazz think that Washington is solidified on DeBonsa, and then it's going to be, if the Jazz are wanting DeBonsa, I have thrown the word virtually because you cannot say at all costs. You could say maybe virtually, which should give you some wiggle room. They have to figure out what is that cost. And you still have 28 days, I think. I think June 23rd, and we're at, what are we, the 25th, 26th, or 27 days, you get the point. So they still got basically a little under 4 weeks, or right at 4 weeks, to figure something out. And then they go. This is what it's all about, man. This is what changes directions of franchises. This is what improves directions of franchises. Not just improve, but significantly change probably is the better way. This decision. So, yeah. Your question is legitimate. You know, Austin's got to be careful. He can't tip his hand, obviously. Yep. And he knows how to artfully answer questions.
He's done it before. He'll do it again.
Right. Anything else come to mind for you as far as what you
No, I mean, I could probably talk to him for an hour. It's more about prioritizing.
Right.
I am curious.
You could talk to a dead person for an hour.
Probably could. I probably could. Give me a cadaver, Yak. I got some things to say.
Let's not. No.
Yak, you booked the guest. Can you book a cadaver?
We're not testing that theory, but I'm with PK.
I don't even need open casket, Yak. Close that thing up.
So Austin Ainge, there's no doubt in my mind you could talk to him for an hour.
I am sure that they were horrified watching the Jazz defensively the last few years. And I'm sure it was also tempered by the fact that they knew they were doing things that were undermining their ability to play defense. So it wasn't really a fair test, but there were still a lot of bad things happening out there.
Nothing was a fair test. I get your point.
How?
Compared to what it's going to be.
Exactly. How good could and should this team be next year? And I'm acknowledging, I don't expect them to go 0 to 100 and go to a conference final or an NBA finals. I do not expect that. And my predictions have whiffed before, and they will whiff again. And maybe
that's the right
that one will whiff.
That's a right prediction.
I think it's going to the first or second round. But I'm just curious if they think this can be a top 10 defense. It could be a top 5 defense. It could be a top, 1 or 2 defense. Because largely, not completely, but largely that is going to shape how things go. And I know we all want people who can make shots, but they got a lot of people who can make shots, and they are going to score. And you look at the Thunder and Spurs, they're really good defensively. You don't get a lot of freebies off them. You'd better knock down your half court shots or your open shots. You'd better get out and run when you can, because you do not want to face them with a set defense.
Half court shots
with a Wemby. I'm just making fun of.
Oh, okay. But I didn't know if you meant in the set.
No. It's just you have to really
in the half court.
In the series, you'd better, when you get an open shot, you better take it and make it, because you don't get a lot of them. You get guys who don't want to take a shot and who pass up. You get a good shot with 13 on the shot clock and you pass it up. No guarantee you're going to get another good one. You may have to force something against pressure, right? So you better be putting them under that same test at the other end of the court. And I just wonder to what degree, top 10, that'd be pretty good, and it probably means they'd have a pretty good team and a pretty good year. But if they're
probably going to be that in offense too.
If they think they can be top 4 or 5, and that's where they're going to push these guys, because there is a lot of size. I mean, a lot of size, a lot of athletic ability.
But there's got to be some level of patience too. As it grows into what it will
And I get
become.
all that, so I'm curious, and I don't know that he can tell us that. That may be something he has to dance around as well.
He can
it's
put
not
an
just
expectation out there. There's nothing wrong with that.
When you have 12 minutes, it's not just about asking good questions, questions you want to answer to, but you have to make sure you ask people questions that they can answer. And we've all been in situations, we've probably done it ourselves too, where you're in a situation and you look back, you're like, oh, what could they really say about that? I mean, they may have wanted to say more.
I don't
but
think
they
this
just
is
couldn't.
the type of interview to get a no comment. We don't need to be, oh, look at us, we're tough guys, we're going to ask the tough questions.
No.
It's more about asking the correct questions, the interesting questions that allows him to expound. So I agree with you 100% on that. I can go in there, who are you going to pick, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
And, we
that's
don't
what I'm
want to
curious
waste time here.
If they know, I mean, the old Liars Club is always in session. You can say, hey, I'm 80 to 90% sure I know what they're going to do, but there's always a wild card out there, that.
Well, I think you can ask general questions pertaining to topics improving the team. For instance, do you anticipate the Jazz at any level being a player in free agency this year? I think that's a totally fair question.
Yeah.
There's some guys out there. They're not going to go LeBron. I get that. But there's a guy like Quentin Grimes.
Yeah.
Is out there.
I mean, I could throw out there, more open-ended as opposed to putting a name on it. I've thought for a while that they're going to add 1 or 2 veteran perimeters and give themselves some veteran ball handling. So when they're playing good teams and someone's got to have the ball in the last 5 minutes making good decisions, they've been there, as opposed to putting somebody else in a tough spot.
Yeah. And does that come through free agency or acquisitions?
Well, and does he see it the same way? Or it's like, hey, for better or worse, I want the ball in Keontae's hands.
I think he probably sees it the same. I trust in your basketball knowledge that any type of forecasting rosters, you're going to be in the ballpark as the management is. Because if you see it and you watch the games, all the games, and so do they, and I don't think they have the knowledge of what can be done. You have a general knowledge of what needs to be done.
Yeah.
So I think that's.
So how about you?
You better ask her that. I want you to ask that question.
Okay, I will. Free agency, what else?
I want to know that the prior administration would send out a list of guys they're working out, right? And if it was anybody who had the opportunity to go back into if it was an underclassman, they wouldn't make them available. If it was a senior, they would make them available. Now, they don't do that now. So I want to know the fact that you're drafting second, how much do you anticipate, or have you already done, and we don't know it, working guys out? Or is it about, hey, because it's number 2 here, it's simply about meeting guys and getting to know them.
Yeah.
But even at that, the DeBonsa thing is a wild card. What don't they know about A.J. DeBonsa that they don't already know? Guy's been around all the time, and if he's not here, you're there.
Yeah. How old was A.J. DeBonsa when he was on their radar? Given the fact they were in Massachusetts
4.
and he was Massachusetts. Yeah.
He was dunking reverse in those little, baskets.
The little Tykes baskets he was throwing it down.
I would say at
6th or 7th grade.
15 tops.
15 at the earliest or 15 at the latest?
He was the Gatorade Player of the Year in Massachusetts as a freshman.
So I'm talking,
and I just said 6th or 7th grade. That's why I wondered if in the 6th or 7th grade he was already on the radar.
I would imagine.
Well, plus Austin was back there.
Right, I know. And because they were literally in the same state.
Yeah.
I mean, not that they couldn't have known about somebody in Ohio, but whatever.
But there's a connection there. Everybody in Cleveland knew about LeBron. Right. CC Sabathia tells a story of one of his friends saying, come on, we got to go see this guy. It was a day off, and it was in Akron. And CC didn't want to drive all that way over to Akron. It's his neighborhood, but he's a day off. Yeah. He didn't want to go. And so then a little while later, they played it, maybe even where the Cavs played. I don't remember the story. And CC Sabathia, who's obviously a baseball guy, a Hall of Famer, he goes and watches them, and he says, I was blown away. I should have I would have driven to Akron if I would have had any idea. So, and I was a high school kid, and that was young. And in the way we are these days with the advancements, some of these guys make it, some of them don't. Not every kid who's featured prominently at 15 years old, 16 years old, turns out at 26 years old to be all that. A lot of them do. Obviously, LeBron did. Jabari Parker had injury. Bryce Harper did. Yeah. And so he had the piece on him and all that. So, yeah, I'm sure they've known about him for several years. And does that change it then? How do they go about knowing this is our guy? What is his and the Jazz method? Is there anything that isn't quite as conventional? Do they need to work out guys? Or are they working out guys just for who knows what's going to happen 2, 3, 4, or 5 years down the road? So establish a relationship now.
Talking to him a year ago when he showed up, when he got hired, When he got hired pretty late in the process, asked him about that. He said, you got to do your homework on every guy because they're all going to get traded. They're all going to be offered in a trade or be a free agent. You never know what's going to come across your desk. You want as much information as you can get. So you research everybody in the draft, not knowing who you're going to be talking about in 3, 4, 5 years.
It reminds me of what the colleges have been saying about establish a relationship with a 15-year-old.
Yep.
And if he doesn't come the first time around,
maybe he comes the second or the third.
And we've seen that. We've seen that here locally, particularly with BYU. Guys that they've missed out on originally, like this tight end, right, from SC, Lions. And they missed out on him the first time around. They didn't miss out on him on the second time around.
And it's getting to the point now when we say missed out on him, did they even want to hit on him? Or did they want to use that spot on a junior, knowing full well he's going to go somewhere as a freshman and play and run off to your Mountain West, Pac-12, Big 12. Right, yes, yeah. But very few freshmen can play, and then there's only so many spots left to develop more guys. And they know, hey, go play there, and we'll be watching. We'll come talk to you in a couple of years.
No, you come talk to them. We don't tamper.
Okay.
Oh, now you're accusing BYU of tampering.
I'm accusing everybody.
Which includes
of tampering.
BYU.
It does include BYU. It includes
If I
everybody.
go to hell and when I get there, there's 5 million people, does that make me feel better?
San Diego State will be standing right next to you, dude. They're tampering too.
Right. We understand they're low-life slimes, but we're different.
Okay. All right.
They tell us we're different.
Yeah.
You just accused BYU of tampering.
Everybody's calling the high school coach. How's Bob doing? All right, we can take a break. When we come back, Austin Ainge. We'll talk with the Utah Jazz president of basketball operations next. Stay with us.
They've been doing it for a while.
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson.
Man, the myth, the legend, thorough Big T. Bailey. I'm not sure how much you've had a chance to watch A.J. DeBonsa, but do you have any thoughts if you have been able to see him a little bit?
Personally, I think he's the best player right now in that group. I did get a chance to watch all these guys play, maybe A.J. a little bit more, but he's been groomed for the next level. You look at what BYU was running. The offenses look like NBA offenses. The ISOs look like ISOs. He's becoming a really good playmaker as well. Just a great season. Far and above Player of the Year in college. I would be surprised if Washington didn't take him. He's going to be nice. It's not going to be perfect for him coming in at this level. He's going to have to learn some things, the physicality, the speed of the game, the number of games, potential rookie wall, but everybody goes through those things. He's going to be a great player in this league.
Catch Jake and Ben afternoons from 2 to 6 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Make game day yours. Tickets, food and drinks, stats, and streaming. Everything you need is in the Utah Mammoth app. Download today and make game night easy. Download on both Android and iPhone. Tusk Top.
Hey, sweetie, your mother showed me this Carvana thing for selling the car. I'm going to give it a try. Wish me luck. Me again. I put in the license plate. It gave me an offer. Unbelievable. Okay, I accepted the offer. They're picking it up Tuesday from the driveway. I haven't even left my chair. It's done. The car is gone. I'm holding a check. Anyway, Carvana, give it a whirl. Love ya.
So good, you'll want to leave a voicemail about it. Sell your car today on Carvana. Pickup fees may apply.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. The NBA playoffs grind on. Well, not for the Cleveland Cavaliers. They're out, swept. Do you think they folded with the collapse in Game 1? I mean, Game 4 was worse than 2 and 3, but I never felt like they were in Games 2 and 3.
I suppose. I just don't think they're good enough.
Just not good enough to even compete and stay close.
That does surprise me. Yeah, I agree.
That's the part.
I understand.
Yeah. Like if they'd lost in 5 and lost by 8 points here and 11 points there and 4 points here, okay, they're not good enough.
So be it.
They just got smoked. The whole
Gotcha.
Atkinson, man, he never said it, and I thought he kind of cleaned it up afterwards, but I guess you can't. That whole thing about the analytics say we won 2 of 3, and he did say nobody in the public wants to hear that. It's results-oriented business. But, man, that part just got left out, and it was just all analytics. I just don't see how the analytics matter when you're getting beat that bad.
He was just trying to pump his guys up, instill some confidence in them. Hey, guys, we're right there. And it's coach speak. I don't hold these guys accountable for that. They're trying to figure out a way to motivate their guys, get their guys to believe in themselves, and you gotta play that game. I mean, come on. As a parent, you're supposed to say, "I believe in you" at all times, and you probably have tons of doubt because you were there. But you got to say it. And I know he took grief for that.
Yeah.
Guys, we suck, man. We're. I can't wait till Memorial Day night when this thing is over. What do you want me to do? I can't pull a rabbit out of a hat here.
We're going to lose Monday. We're going to meet Tuesday. And Wednesday, we're all going to be on planes going somewhere warm.
So,
warm and sandy.
I get it. I get what he's trying to do there. They just weren't good enough. But now, with that in mind, I'm still surprised that the gap was that big. I will go there. I believed in Cleveland more than they showed.
I just don't think right now people are talking enough about games 2 and 3 because Game 4 was so awful. But that games 2 and 3, it's like, guys, a little more.
Yeah, New York had the momentum. They're playing their best ball. I would venture to say every single guy who's in this rotation playing serious minutes is this is the best he's ever played at the NBA level. And they have a belief.
It is a good question, and we can get to it later because I think Austin's getting on the phone right now. But the East is weak, and that is part of the reason the Knicks are dominating. But at some point, you got to say 11 in a row, right. Most of them blowouts, that's impressive. It can't all be the East is weak. New York's got to be doing something right here.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
And I think that, this morning in New York, it's New York's great. It's all about New York. I'm not sure I'm that far in on them, but I got to acknowledge 11 in a row. That is something. And so it'll be interesting to see if how they match up with the West when that thing gets sorted out. DJ, PK, and we're joined now by Austin Ainge, Utah Jazz, president of basketball operations. Austin, good morning.
Good morning, guys.
The draft is still a few weeks away here. Do you have an idea how it's going to play out now? I know you've been working on it for a while, but there's still time for curveballs here. What's your level of confidence that you could predict now what's going to happen then?
Well, I will say that, all the permutations to 2 are a little easier than in years past, DJ. But, no, I don't think we know. I'm not sure the teams know. I'm not sure we know exactly what we're going to do. I don't know if other teams are either. There's still a lot of information that can be gained in this time of year, and everyone tries to go slow and get it right.
Yeah, Austin, that leads me into my very first question. Because it's 2 draft position as opposed to 5 and 6 and so forth, the field as far as potentials are a little more narrow, obviously, because it's higher. What type of work does you and your people, your staff, the management need to do between now and, I guess, draft night, knowing that it's a little bit different because you are drafting so high?
Yeah, so kind of this time of year, what we do is we pour over the medical stuff, right? That's a huge thing that we have not had access to in the past, and we make sure we get experts to look at any issues that arise. And, these guys all got tested in various different ways at the combine, and we'll be getting some of these things some of these reports in this week. And so we'll do a lot of that work. We will get a chance to meet with these guys again and talk with them and try to get them to know them better as people. And then we continue to watch film. We'll go back and watch, in some cases all the way back through their high school seasons and through their college season, and just with a narrowed focus on a narrow range now, we'll go just extra deep and make sure we've got the full scope and all the information fresh in our minds and do the best we can.
In the past, we've seen the Jazz draft whatever year, 8, 10, 15, and they bring a lot of guys through for workouts. And you see a lot of players who end up, Steven Adams came through at one point, they didn't draft him, but you see players like that who go on to really good careers. But what's the cutoff? I know the top guys don't usually work out, and when you're drafting too, I don't know if guy 10 wants to work out for you and spend all that energy and get on a flight. What is the cutoff there as far as getting guys to work out for you?
Yeah, your instinct is right there that the guys that feel like they're and that we communicate that we're serious about, will come in, but it's not a huge list. And the guys at this range of the draft, it was the same last year at 5. They come in and typically do an interview and then a little shooting workout, not live against other people. And so there's a limited amount of information you can gain from that, and we try to not overrate it or underrate it, just properly put it in its place and add it to the pile of information we're gathering. I would say the most important thing is we just get them to spend time with coach and us and have a dinner and have a breakfast and just really get to know them as people, because honestly, none of these players are ready-made. None of them are good enough right now. They all need to progress, and who they are determines that as much as their talent.
So all of us are fired up about the draft, but everything happens so quickly because then you have the free agency that hits immediately, basically right afterward, and maybe a day or two or a week between, but you get the point. And so we focus on the draft, but how about adding talent through trade acquisitions or free agency. How much of that do you anticipate?
I mean, definitely some. It's hard to anticipate exactly how much, but we'll try to be aggressive, appropriately aggressive in adding and making our team better. We have some free agents of our own from the team. There's some free agents out there. We could go a few different directions to address some of the weaknesses, and some of that will be determined by which position we draft, right? So there's a lot to do, and most of our roster is built in that end of June, beginning of July, and it's a busy time and an important time. So we've got a lot of work to do. The teams in the West are really good, and the teams in the league are really smart, and the rules will be different next year. So there'll be a lot of changes. It'll be a lot more competitive and challenging, and we're very aware that we gotta take a big jump here in a lot of different ways. But we're pretty excited about the group, the talent level, and some of the progress we're seeing from some of the players.
Obviously, the other roster moves depend on which player you end up getting with the draft, but you can't draft a veteran. Do you need a veteran ball handler or two around the perimeter?
Well, it's definitely something we're looking at. I mean, look, there's the way I would say it, DJ, is that you've got specific needs, and sometimes those needs are glaring enough that you just go get a player that fits them. Mm-hmm. But they have to be good enough in the end, right? So, I want a shooter, I want a shot blocker, I want a ball handler. But if they're not good enough to play in the playoffs, then it doesn't help you. So we have to be able to get the guys that are good enough to play. And I think we have an amazing coaching staff that I think can figure a lot of things out. So I would say need is definitely a discussion, but also overall quality. And you're just balancing those things.
You talk about getting guys who are good enough to play. This question excludes Ace Bailey and Kante George, but there was a number of guys who've been brought on the team in the last 3 years. Do you believe that they are good enough?
I mean, some of them, and some of them are getting better every day, and they just need to be good enough by the playoffs or by the regular season. So we've got a lot of guys getting better. I feel like we've got a number of guys that can play. Some of it is also the role you're put in, right?
Yeah,
If you're asked to do too much, sometimes as a young player, you can look inefficient or out of place. And then, when the top of the roster is a little more in place, their job gets easier or a little more focused. And, but a lot of this remains to be seen. We got a lot of figuring out to do in the season, and a lot of competition going on for those minutes and possessions and role. And I'm really excited for it. Our guys are pumped. They're in the gym right now working out. We've got a big group, including Jaren. He's looking great, looking healthy, and pumped.
Defensively, this team has been 29th or 30th for quite a stretch, going over a couple of years now. And obviously there's a lot of reasons for that, and some of those reasons are going to go away. How good can they get and how quickly? Can this be a top 10 defensive team next year? Can it be top 5? It's going to be a lot of size and athletic ability, which ought to help.
Yeah, I mean, we sure hope we make a big jump there. That was definitely a big consideration in bringing in Jaren, who's a former Defensive Player of the Year and a guy who can cover up a lot of weaknesses of other players and can play multiple positions. But we also know that, one player you can't do it all. So we need improvement throughout the roster, and we need, defense is also something we're considering strongly in the draft and in free agency. So I think there's a lot of ways we need to address it: internal improvement, external improvement, and just a little more size and talent on the floor should help all those things. I have high expectations for this group in a big improvement, but I'm trying to avoid specific numbers. I don't like putting the pressure or the limits of numbers, right? I don't want to put limits on these guys, nor do I want to put the pressures, but we try to put pressure in process. And so far, I'm very pleased seeing how hard everyone's working and the focus on even the player development on defense. It will be a big emphasis all summer.
Journalism these days, particularly sports journalism, as you know full well, it's devolved into sources said, right? Sources are all over the place these days, I guess. And so obviously, the Jazz have reached out to Washington. I'm going to ask you a general question, so it's not anything specific. But when deals are made, what is the process in terms of Team A calling Team B or Team B calling Team A? Could you just walk us through generally how these things work?
Yeah. Well, I will say, PK, the way things generally work is not you call and make a trade offer the day after the lottery. So that was pretty ridiculous. So generally trades happen like this, right? Like we talk all the time with other teams. We see each other at places like the Combine and Summer League and college games and NBA games and G League games. And we call and we check in periodically, during the season, I would say once a month. During this time of year, more frequently. And we have conversations. And who do you like? Who do you not like? What are you looking for? What type of players do you need? And then if there's we maybe have extras of something and they need something, maybe, okay, do you like these guys? No. What about at this price? No. And we just kind of communicate in general terms about kind of our goals and needs as a team. Well, hey, we kind of like this guy if you ever like to move him. And then maybe a year later they come back and said, hey, we're thinking of moving this guy, or we're looking for this. Is this something you'd still be interested in? You just kind of have these general conversations a lot, and to get a feel for where teams are at. And it's of both teams' interests to communicate a little bit what we're trying to do so we can try to get something done, right? If there's something that works for both teams. And then, if there's something that in general terms makes a little bit of sense, you go, okay, I'd give you a first-round pick for that guy, or I'd give you 2 seconds for this point guard. And they go, oh, no, that's way too high. And you say, well, let us know if there's anything. And then you both hang up and you just sit and wait and see if anybody budges. So it's not like you're not like convincing people. They all have their own evaluations, just like we do. So you don't sit there and try to sell, well, this guy has really done this and this and this, and look at his stats. Like they roll their eyes. They don't want to hear that, So it's really just kind of look, I'd do it at this price, but not at this. If you want to come back, call me, or if you want to add in this other player, and you just kind of do general terms. And it's a lot of sitting and waiting, and seeing if something budges. So that's kind of how it goes.
Well, Austin, we could go on all day. I got 50 more questions, but we'll save it for next time. I know you only got a few minutes here, but we appreciate you. The fans are dying to hear from you. We appreciate you. I know you got other things on your plate, but giving them a few minutes and talking. People will be chewing on this forever, and I bet you can guess what's going to end up on social media already.
Appreciate it, guys. Always fun.
All right. Thank you, Austin. There's Austin Ainge, Utah Jazz president of basketball operations.
Yeah, taking from that, they're going to be active in free agency and trade possibilities. That it's not just we're so focused on a draft, but then as soon as that's over, boom, and they're going to be active. I suspect the draft is a move, but 2 moves beyond that.
Yeah, I'd totally buy that.
And then what are they? Major on the scale.
And what are they? Again, goes back to, well, who did they draft? Right? Because there's a roster spot, and you're betting on that guy.
That's why I'm bullish on this team being a lot better, certainly than it was the last 4 years, but even better than a lot of people anticipate for next season.
We had to let him go there, but it'll be interesting down the road to see if watching these playoffs, because he went right to that. They don't have to be good enough today. They have to be good enough when the season starts in October. They have to be good enough when you get to the playoffs next April. We're seeing the best teams in the biggest games. They're guys who just can't go. They can't. And it's not one injury-prone guy. We got a couple guys on both the Spurs and the Thunder who've had to miss games here. Games that really matter. Players who really matter. So do you have to build a 12-player roster so you know you got your 8, 9, or 10, whatever you're trying to do when you get to that point? Because there's always going to be a couple guys out. If these guys can't go now, it doesn't seem like a fluke to me, given how many guys have been out for long periods of time. And it's easy to say, hey, Embiid's injury prone. Well, he's got a history that backs that up. He is injury prone, but does Jalen Williams?
I like Embiid is basically healthy prone.
The flip side of that.
Yeah. Right?
But right. But
it
even
sucks, but that's the truth.
Yeah. But we're seeing it everywhere with multiple guys and even role guys who aren't playing that big of minutes. There's something about the stress they're under now. There's something about the way they're eating or training and all the minutes they play and the running, cutting, jumping. I mean, guys are just breaking down left and right here. There have been so many guys out in this playoffs. And the Spurs and Thunder have been able to get through it. The Spurs, because Wemby's awesome, and he's been able to largely stay out there, although he's missed almost 2 full games during the playoffs.
I believe that the Jazz, the mindset is it's go time right now. It's go time this month, and then till the first or second week of July. And then we'll have a much better idea, and I think there'll be significant additions to the team. Obviously the draft pick, but I think there'll be 2 others that can step up. I think they think that the window is not fully open, but it is opening as we speak, and they want to take advantage of the time that they have right now.
There's one, I definitely heard that in Austin's voice, just having, talked to him multiple times over the years, and you've talked to him even more. And I think that there was one other thing, just to amplify that a little bit. We can get to it next. I mean, I just think it's crystal clear in his voice. And it's hard to give them this and concede them this, but if you're thinking realistically, you need to, and we'll get to that next. Stay with us.
3, 2, 1. This is Scotty G and Coach Tim LeCoe.
The Jazz selecting number 2 in the upcoming NBA draft. So, if there's one thing that scares me, AJ's the safer pick. And that's what makes me nervous, is that Washington is going to be like, okay, we've really swung and missed, and we've really done some problems. So let's go the safest superstar available in AJ and let somebody else take the risk on Darren. If I'm the Jazz, then I take that risk on Darren Peterson. But I exhaust every option available to me to get AJ.
I encourage everybody to go back and you to watch pre-Kansas film on Darren Peters. I want you to watch his handle, specifically how he navigates ball screens. He can become a better passer, but he's not bad as a secondary playmaker. You just look at him, it's his frame. To me, there are real reasons why this guy can be great.
Catch Scotty G and Coach weekdays from 10 to 2, presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Thumbtack presents Uncertainty Strikes. I was surrounded. The aisle and the options were closing in. There were paint rollers, satin and matte finish, angle brushes, and natural bristles. There were too many choices. What if I never got my living room painted? What if I couldn't figure out what type of paint to use? What if I just used Thumbtack? I can hire a top-rated pro that knows everything about interior paint, easily compare prices, and read reviews. Thumbtack knows homes. Download the app today.
Make game day yours. Tickets, food and drinks, stats, and streaming. Everything you need is in the Utah Mammoth app. Download today and make game night easy. Download on both Android and iPhone. Tusk Top.
Hey, sweetie, your mother showed me this Carvana thing for selling the car. I'm going to give it a try. Wish me luck. Me again. I put in the license plate. It gave me an offer. Unbelievable. Okay, I accepted the offer. They're picking it up Tuesday from the driveway. I haven't even left my chair. It's done. The car's gone. I'm holding a check. Anyway, Carvana, give it a whirl. Love ya.
So good, you'll want to leave a voicemail about it. Sell your car today on Carvana. Pickup fees may apply.
DJ PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Austin Ainge, Utah Jazz, president of basketball operations, just joined us for a few minutes in the last segment. And you were picking up on it, well, I think partially because of conversations you have with people in the organization, but also just from Austin's tone of voice, which I think was even for the people listening who don't know Austin personally, I think you could hear in his voice, there's some urgency there. You were saying just before the break, it's go time now.
Yeah.
For them, it's today and every day. We're all thinking, well, when they come out here in October, but for them, it's go time now. This is when young players improve. They've obviously got a really important draft pick to make, and they've got to then fill in holes on the roster after the draft pick is made, and they have a little better idea what the roster looks like. Nobody wants to hear about your problems when you're the one who's making the decisions. Like, they chose to do the rebuild. They chose to do the 4-year tank.
Yep.
We had to cover it, and fans had to watch it, listen to it, endure it, or ignore it, which sucks too because people like to go to Jazz games and like to think about 50-win teams and playoff runs. And so we've all got our level of angst, annoyment, whatever it is, over watching the last 4 years. They do too. Now, nobody wants to hear it because they made the decision to do it. But it was really obvious talking to Will Hardy, and I think he thought a year ago that they were going to go for it, and then the decision was made not to. He can't wait to go for it.
Right decision.
But I think the fact they've got the number 2 pick in the draft and there's all this talent, yes. And I think that the front office really feels it too. Now, because they chose it, nobody wants to hear that. But nonetheless, sitting there losing, making guys sit, it's no fun. That's not fun of it.
No,
it's
over.
And when they win, I don't know how much fun it'll still be for them because they don't enjoy the wins very long. They're on to the next thing. But there's still some level of satisfaction looking back at a winning streak going, all right, we're doing it right. We're making progress here.
Well, just winning more will be
W's together.
Intoxicating, and it will become a drug to whatever level you win at to win more than that. And I think at this point next season, most likely the season will be over, but there'll be a lot of optimism that this is just the beginning, literally, and they will go from there. So whatever they establish in the 26-27 season, that is the ground level, and it goes up. And they anticipate dealing from a position of strength this time next year as they make decisions, and I think they will. I think this team will have a winning record. I'm going to put it, let's go conservatively right now because it could change, and it will change. Obviously, it'll change in the next 5 to 6 weeks. It could change substantially. I'm going to go 45 right now, knowing it, okay, let's just go Dabonsa or Peterson. And as Austin just said, no rookie, with very rare exception, is ready to have a major impact on your team. It's going to be about potential, particularly now with these kids only playing one season of college basketball. So with that in mind, I'm going to go 45, but I reserve the opportunity, get to July 15th, and I may be willing to go 50. And at that point, that's going to be a lot of winning, right? What is it? That's like 2/3 of your games if you win 50. What's the
50 and 32 wouldn't be quite 2/3, but it's close. I think 50. Yeah, 50, 54, 55
so
puts you there.
I'd be willing to go there, maybe even more. And that's just the starting point. That's what's cool about this is nowhere near a finished product, but it doesn't have to be as much of a depressing struggle to get to whatever the finished product is. And that finished product is only for a season because then you make changes to the roster for the next season and you sort of, in a sense, start over. What you're going to see happen is they're going to start over each season as every team does, but you're going to have a strong nucleus that you're going to start from. That's the cool part, is that they will be starting from a strong point each of the next 5 seasons, I believe.
10, 50, 90, 100. Now, maybe you could go 90, 90. We should probably ask Mike Fulton next time we get him on. But 10 wins in the NFL, I feel like you're a good team. 50 in the NBA, you're good. 90 in MLB. 100 points in hockey. Maybe some want to go 90, but you can miss the playoffs at 90, so I don't really like going 90. Maybe you put it at 95. But those are the round numbers you want to hit.
And they're identifiable numbers.
Yeah. Easy to remember, identifiable. You hit this. You get 100 points. Even if you get knocked out in the first round, you're a good team. Now, we see that Dallas and Minnesota both had 100 points and had to meet in the opening round of the Stanley Cup Finals. A good team had to get knocked out.
Right.
It was going to happen. But if you're at 100, it can't be argued.
And I think they will add at least one critical component to the thing you're talking about, the backcourt. Now, that does determine to an extent who they draft. Because if you get Darren Peterson,
the minutes are going to start getting
player.
scarce. Right.
So you may want to allocate your money in another direction. But I still think even if they draft Darren Peterson, they're still going to add a player at that position, that wing player. You know, I was looking through the list of free agents over the weekend because I know we're going to be talking about it. And I put Grimes out there as a name, just as an example to start discussion. Not saying, they're targeting him, but that type of player. You know, he was somebody that was discussed a few years back. And now let's see that type of player that they can make an impact. You know, they did it. I think he was a restricted free agent there a few years back. Corey Maggette, right?
Corey Maggette. He was always on the Jazz wish list for about a decade, and it never worked out.
But then they signed him, but it was a restricted.
Yeah, they signed him to an offer sheet. The Clippers matched it.
So I'm talking about
Clippers.
that. Not a superstar by any stretch, but a player who can come in, a vet dude who knows what to do. It's like, okay, Will Hardy says, Corey, here's what I need you to do. Okay, coach, got it. And then he goes out there and he does it. And that's how he's going to have an impact. I believe they're going to get at least one, if not two, of those types of players for this next season.
DJ PK, it's 97.5 KSL Sports Zone. Brian Howell, Colorado Buffs writer for Buff Zone and the Boulder Daily Camera, joins us next. The spring football tour continues. Stay with us.
Summer is all about freedom, fun, and growing up. And between the ages of 9 and 13, kids are starting to form their views about alcohol. With more independence, their still developing brains need more guidance and support than ever. That's why summer is the perfect time to stay connected and plan fun, safe family activities together. Research shows kids who spend quality time with their parents doing what they enjoy are less likely to drink underage. And when kids feel close to you, they're more likely to listen, especially when you set clear expectations. In fact, kids who drink before 15 are far more likely to struggle with alcohol later. This summer, create a no-bummer summer with fun, alcohol-free activities for your kids. Go to summer.parentsempowered.org to take a quick quiz and discover ideas tailored to your family. A little time together can make a big difference. For more information and to learn more about how to prevent underage drinking, visit parentsempowered.org.
Make game day yours. Tickets, food and drinks, stats, and streaming. Everything you need is in the Utah Mammoth app. Download today and make game night easy. Download on both Android and iPhone. Tusk Top.